Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Computer America Show. We'll be starting in a moment, so stay with us.
How about now?
Still there. It's one of the transformers.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman. Ben,
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Hey, Ben, how are you? You know, I think it's you have a bunch of transformers that are plugged in there that you didn't have in the other room, and I think that's what's causing it. You might want to unplug the Uverse TV thing, I think some transformer is causing a problem of some sort, and I think that's what it is. But while you work on that, in the meantime, hope all of you had a wonderful weekend here on the program, and we've got lots of things to talk about because. We have our 3 contest winners. That's right. Our Logitech contest finished on Friday, and then over the weekend we drew 3 winning names. We have 3 winners that are going to win some really nice Logitech prizes on tonight's show. And we'll probably do that in the second hour because we really want to focus on our guest tonight in the first hour. In the second hour, we're going to have Computer and Technology News brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So we had some great stories to talk about tonight as well. Again, congratulations to our Friday Show Reminder winner of the week. So we've got lots to talk about, lots of things to do. So why don't we get started? And Ben, you'll come in whenever you can come in.
I mean, this is as good as it gets.
Well, that's fine. Just stay with us. I mean, do what you need to do, and then after the show, we'll figure out what's causing the problem. But it's good enough for now. All right, thinking about getting a website for yourself or for your business? Well, that's where our guest tonight from SquareSpace comes in. Whether you just want to create a blog, run an e-commerce store, portfolio, or all of the above, you can express your idea with a web powered by SquareSpace's elegant yet intuitive platform. Now, joining us is Jeremy Schwartz. Jeremy is SquareSpace's professionals manager. Jeremy, welcome to Computer America. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, fine. Well, you know, and of course, technology being what it is, there's always things little gremlins that peek up. You see, Ben moved to a different location, and we really didn't do an audio check to make sure everything was fine.
Because we're professionals. And this is what we do. So.
I call it it's the iron law of working at a technology company. Every time you need the screen to work, the screen share to work, it's going to take 6 tries. So I understand and I'm sympathetic.
Well, not only that, Google Hangouts. So we had you in there, and your toolbox wasn't coming up, and then we finally figured out that it wasn't you hadn't logged in properly from your work, and so I mean, but that's just the nature of the business, But it's fine, and so I mentioned a little bit about SquareSpace. Why don't you tell our listeners exactly what SquareSpace is all about? Okay.
Sure. So SquareSpace is a platform that lets anybody create really beautiful websites by themselves without any code. So the way I always put it is, if you've used a computer in the last 20 years or the last 24 years as you've been listening to Computer America, and you know how to drag and drop and double click and pull on corners to make things bigger and smaller, you could build a really nice website. It's a subscription service. You can pay for a month or pay for a year. Super affordable, and we sort of take care of all the hard parts, letting you really focus on building a web presence that makes sense for you.
Okay. So basically, when I want to, if I want to create and use Squarespace to create a website, do I need to know, things like HTML5 and programming and coding? I mean, how experienced do I need to be to use something like SquareSpace?
You don't have to be very experienced at all. Like I said, my grandmother, who knows how to double click and drag and drop, can do it. If that's not familiar to you, then you're going to struggle, but you for sure don't need to know HTML, you don't need to code, you don't need to know about infrastructure or hosting. Like I said, we really want to focus on letting you be creative, let you create your personality, let you have your business, and leave the hard part to us.
Okay. So then you really don't need to have any professional experience. In other words, is it sort of like, using a word processor, or just is it what you see is what you get? I mean,
Yeah, it's a great way to describe it. It's WYSIWYG. So as you lay it out on the screen, you click save, and your friend across the country or across the world, the second you click save, it's going to be live on their end. Your website is live. You don't have to worry about, I don't know, I know you've got a pretty sophisticated audience here, so you don't need to worry about hosting or FTPs or servers or all of these things. It's really about making a website that looks how you want it to look, with some pretty legitimate functionality as well. Like you mentioned, e-commerce, you can create forms, kind of all the things that you'd want for a modern website for personal use or for a small business is what we're offering.
So if you're providing all this kind of stuff, how are you providing all these different types of forms? Like if the person doesn't have to learn how to code or how to write these things on their own, how are they getting all this functionality?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way we do it is our designers have created 30-something templates. And the templates are not rigid, they're not stuck, they're really just jumping off points. And each one is kind of an archetypal idea of what a website could be. So kind of what's the archetype of a blog, what's the archetype of an e-commerce site. And we sort of create this framework. And then you work within that framework and manipulate that framework, again, just using your mouse, using GUI sorts of experiences that people are familiar with. And in the background, sort of the magic, and this I don't think is worth getting into it, I wouldn't do it justice to describe it, sort of the magic is as when you move your photo from the left side of the screen or to the right side of the screen, we're actively and sort of dynamically creating new HTML. When you change your style settings, we're changing the CSS. So I'm sort of describing some sort of tech things, but as you do things on your screen, we're creating the magic words in code that actually communicate that across the internet to somebody else's computer.
And again, with no technical experience required of something like this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it turns out that you can, if you happen to have CSS, and CSS is cascading style sheets, or HTML, or JavaScript, if you have that in your skill set, there's sort of additional things you can do, and but that's really tends to be icing on the cake, kind of really unique sort of styles and things like that. Again, the core functionality of a good modern website is baked right in, and again, it's double clicking and dragging and dropping.
Really?
Oh, that actually brings up a pretty good point. I mean, let's say someone is used to writing the whole web page from top to bottom, all by themselves. What are they able to bring to the table? Like, is it dumbed down to the point where someone with some experience, not dumbed down, simplified? There we go. That's a more political term. Is it simplified to the point where an experienced coder would kind of feel too limited to use it?
Well, I guess I'd answer that in two different ways. The first is, and my colleagues tomorrow might give me a bit of a hassle for saying this, but if you're a web developer and what you do is create custom web apps, really heavy-duty e-commerce with really unique functionality, you still need to build that. That is, and I put it a different way, if your website is your product, you got to build that. If you're trying to build the next Facebook, you got to build that. If, on the other hand, you're trying to build you're a boutique, you're a small retailer, you're a restaurant, and what you want is a great web presence where the functionality is it's pretty advanced but almost standard at this point, then where I think the web developers and designers come in is really helping you, especially on the design side, creating a look and feel that really does your brand and does your business justice. So, Craig mentioned that I'm the manager of Squarespace Professionals. We've seen this really interesting use case emerging where web professionals, designers, and developers are doing client work. So they're working for their client, but building off of our platform because we've taken care of all of the sort of the annoying aspects and let them really focus on where they could add value, which is what does make a good website, what colors would work here, how should you lay out your site architecture.
So what you're saying is that professional coders and web developers are using your website and your clients come to them and they use Squarespace to do all of this and charge them for it.
Yeah, I mean, just to be perfectly clear, the vast majority of our customers are do-it-yourself customers.
Yeah.
But to Ben's question, what is the role of a web designer in 2015? I think that there's still a place to help someone like me who's not an aesthetically forward person really understand how to make something look beautiful and look effective. And what we've done, we've taken away the hard part of like, how do you actually get that online? And let you really focus on which aspect of your website will be the most powerful. How are you really going to present yourself in the best possible way?
Wow. So, and I have to mention the ad campaign that you're doing there. You have the
dude.
Yeah, the dude coming on. He is obviously not a coder. He's just an average guy, you and me. Jeff Bridges, and yet he's done some amazing stuff. And did he start from scratch, or if someone wants to use Squarespace, do they have to start from scratch, a blank screen, or are there like templates and things that they can kind of use as suggestions and then maybe work from those?
Yeah, so the way you start is with templates. So we don't think it's a real. There's two things that we don't think are a real kindness to someone trying to get started with their website, and that's a blank screen, and the second thing is infinite starting places. So what we do is we give a really curated range of jumping off points. Again, like I said, a couple of really, really great portfolio jumping off points, a couple of really, really great and modern e-commerce jumping off points, and so on and so forth. And of course, you don't have to use the e-com jumping off point for e-commerce. You could use it for whatever you want. But what we do is we sort of give a basic structure, a basic sort of sensibility to the site, and then you upload your logo, you upload your text, you upload your photo, you create your site architecture. And again, all dragging and dropping so that within, depending on what you're starting with, minutes or hours or days, you've got a really effective, really stable website, and we're taking care of all the hard parts.
Well, that's something certainly that sounds easy. I mean, to do. I mean, you're, as you said, you're doing all the hard parts. When somebody starts off with Squarespace, would your suggestion be for them to use one of your templates as a sort of like a starting point, find something that appeals to them?
Yeah, but I would say actually before you even pick out your template, the most important thing you could do for yourself if you want your website to be successful is, and I'm thinking about a business context in particular, but really in any context, is making sure that you understand, and this is just sort of basic business advice, really knowing what the goal of your website is and who your audience is. And if you've got those two things, then you could start saying, okay, the goal is for me to collect email addresses, so I want a jumping off point, I want a template that's really optimized for that sort of situation, as opposed to my goal is for people to buy a pair of shoes, in which case sort of the best way to do that might be a different template. So the most important thing before you've even looked at our templates, before you've even started paying us the $8 a month, is really to be crystal clear on what the point of your website is. Because it's really, I can build you the most beautiful website in the world, but if it's sort of optimized for something other than what you're actually trying to achieve for your personal or business needs, it's kind of a waste of time.
Okay. So
what are some of the personal choice, because for business it's very clear why you need a website as a business. People need to find out your services online and at an easy to find place. But what are you seeing people using it for personal uses for?
Yeah, so I would say the personal uses, there's two main use cases. One is a personal blog, where obviously there's free solutions out there, and we're not a free solution. But people who want to have a good-looking, easy to update, mobile-friendly, we could talk about that in a minute, that it's responsive design, personal blog for their political sorts of arguments, keep their family up to date with what their kids are doing, that sort of thing. So that's one personal use case. And the other that I see a fair amount of is what I would call the serious amateur artist. So, a photographer who's really not making a living off their photography, but is serious about it, has their, fancy SLR and Nikon lenses and all that, and wants to share that with the world in a way that really does justice to the work that they're doing. So those, I think, are two personal website use cases that we see.
Okay. If you had to describe your typical customer, what would that be?
It's a tough question. We've got, we're in a great position, actually. We were on the Super Bowl, so we're a pretty mass market sort of company and a mass market sort of product. So we've got people doing the widest range that you could possibly imagine, from things that we can't talk about on the radio to personal blogs that are about their children growing up. That being said, because if you've ever visited Squarespace, clearly sort of visuals are what we think differentiate ourselves and sort of the quality of our design and aesthetic. So, and while I think that's a thing that everybody needs, for instance, my father-in-law is a solo practitioner. He's a lawyer here in Brooklyn, and his website's on Squarespace, and it's beautiful and it's effective, and he gets clients through it. I don't know that every attorney really understands the value of a really beautiful website. However, every graphic designer, every photographer, every marketing consultant, every branding person gets it. And I think similarly, every restaurant understands that having a good website is going to be important to them. Every clothing line, every boutique, every store gets it. So I think while our customers really are an incredibly and amazingly wide range of people, I think the core is sort of the intersection of creativity and business. So like I said, graphic designers, photographers, people like that.
Okay. So I'm just trying to now. There are let's face it, there are other companies out there that do that pretend to design websites and everything. What would you say makes Squarespace stand out, or why should someone try Squarespace? What would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're right. There's other companies. Even GoDaddy has a website builder. So people, I think, primarily.
That's so simplistic.
Right. No, it is, but I think it sort of goes to. It suggests the wide range of options that people have these days. That when you buy your domain, you could get a website from GoDaddy. So why would you choose Squarespace when there's all this wide range? I guess it's a few things. One, it's the quality of the experience. We put a ton of effort into making the drag and drop experience, the template selection experience, really seamless and beautiful and intuitive. So that's one thing. The quality of our customer support. All of our customer support is in-house. So I think about 60, maybe 65% of our headcount is our customer support apparatus, and they're totally amazing, and they're there 24 hours a day. And I always say there's just no reason to ever feel frustrated with your website if you're building it with Squarespace, because there's these really nice, really smart people just waiting to answer it somewhere in the world, mostly in New York, a couple of other locations.
So you're saying that you offer live technical support? Did you say it was like 24/7, or is it 5 days a week? What?
So it's 24/7 during extended business hours, East Coast time. So I think it's about roughly 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's live chat, But overnight during the off hours, there's email support. So if you sent your email at 4 in the morning, asking, how do I get the photo to move from the left side to the right side, somebody will respond pretty fast.
But you gotta know that's frustrating as heck. People want instant gratification. They want to pick up the phone and say it's not working.
It's without sort of giving away the roadmap. We do our best, and I think if you're ever bored, check out mentions of Squarespace on Twitter, and you'll see that 1 out of 3 are people saying thank you so much for the amazing customer support I just had.
Okay.
I agree with you that people want absolute instant gratification.
Yeah.
But it does break my heart when I find out that people don't know that we do have 24/7 support, and they feel sort of, like I said, stuck at 2 in the morning. They sort of had their long workday, they decide to find some time, and they feel like there's no one there. But we are there.
Some of the best working programmers is early in the mornings. The 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I think that's a lot of the
those caffeine-fueled pizza binges of coding.
Yeah, I haven't looked lately at our data of when the tickets come in, but it'd be interesting to look and see. It might be time shifted a little bit later than we thought it would, because those caffeine and pizza fueled things that you described. So but just sort of finish the thought. So I think it's the quality of the design and the experience. I think it's the quality of the customer support, and I think I think that really makes us different is we are a closed platform, which means that we're not open to other developers building plugins or widgets for our platform. So if you're doing e-commerce, for better or for worse, and I would say for almost everybody it's for better, you're going to use Squarespace's e-commerce solution. If you want your Twitter feed to get displayed on your website, for better and for worse, and I would say almost always for better, you're going to use our solution. And so the differentiator there is, A, in terms of functionality, we match everybody else, and B, once you know how to do one thing on Squarespace, once you know how to add a photo, you know how to add a Twitter feed, you know how to add a product to your design store, because it's the same sort of logic, the same developers, and the same principles, sort of the intuitive principles are underlying the entire product. And that's really powerful, I think.
Well, all right. So you're saying that it's trying to accommodate or use other services and incorporate them into your service is a formula for a recipe for disaster?
I don't think I said anything about recipes for disaster. What I would say is there are, for instance, there are ways to embed HTML and JavaScript. So if you really wanted to use another service, and we're getting a bit more technical than I think we ought to, but there's ways to do it. What we do, though, is try and figure out what can we do really well, and if we can do it really well, we're going to build it ourselves. So a social media integration, getting your Twitter feed, your Instagram feed to show up, that's so core to a website at this point that we have to do that, and we're going to do it well. E-commerce, that's really core to a website, and we're going to do that and do that really well. Payment processing, that's starting to get further away from what sort of the essence of a website and a web presence is, and so we integrate deeply and really seamlessly with payment providers or payment processors. Same thing with accounting software. It's sort of a natural next thing. If you're doing e-commerce on Squarespace, at some point you're going to need accounting software. It just doesn't make sense for us to build that. It's getting a little bit further away from what we can be really good at. So what we do when we partner with others and integrate with others is we're really selective, and we make the integration seamless and really deep.
Yeah, I mean, there's things like, for example, if you want I'm just thinking like a forms generator or something. You want someone to fill out a form. Mm-hmm. Now there are services out there that you can do the Squarespace design its own, or say no, we need a form generator of some sort, and you work with one of the companies that are out there. I mean,
so forms is an interesting question. So forms, again, it's actually a great example of the interface of what we do really well versus where we think we should partner with people who do their own thing really well. So creating the form, that's really integral to Squarespace. That's integral to building your website. Collecting where that email address goes and then generating newsletters, we make it really easy to, when you collect the form on Squarespace, to have the email address get piped into a MailChimp list, so that
But
sort of.
you use MailChimp then?
Yeah, so we're integrated with MailChimp.
Okay.
Or and there's other ways to do it. You could get a CSV and upload it to your service of choice if you happen to use Constant Contact or something else.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So now how many partners do you have currently with Squarespace? I mean, how many people are you working with to provide these services?
That's a good question. It's not a big list. We work with Xero. That's Xero with an X for accounting. We're integrated with MailChimp for newsletters. We work with Stripe for payment processing. A few others that I'm not thinking of. But the point being that it's a closed universe, and it's a pretty finite universe. And we think that what you might give up in total freedom, you gain in support and stability, and it just works without you having to think about it.
Okay, so then now let's say I already have a website, or I've had a website for. So, how do I know when it's time to redesign my website? I knew how I knew because Ben came on and says you've got to change your website from the 90s.
Well, you see, I knew because, quite simply, I looked at the bottom of the website and it said expires February 28th, 1998. So it was time to throw it out.
That's a really good question. So I guess, again, I do a fair amount of speaking to small businesses and creatives and all sorts of people. And like I said earlier, I think the most important thing to think about your website is understanding it as a tool within your broader life. So and earlier I was saying, so when you start to build your website, you got to be thinking about what's the point of this website? What do I want it to do? So one way to know is, if you've got the ugliest website in the world and it loads slowly and it's not responsive, but it does what you want to do, I would say don't bother. If it's doing the trick, don't bother messing with it. But I would say probably if you've got that website, it's probably hard for you to track whether it's doing the trick. But I think another sort of, without sort of that philosophical bent, I think a couple of rules of thumb are, if you need somebody else to change a phone number on your website or add a photo, that's just not where websites are anymore, and it might be time to move on to something else. If every time you get a new employee at your company, you're calling up your old developer and designer, and they're logging in and adding the photo, I would say cut the line and move up to 2015. So that's one. If you're reliant on a priest to do the work for you.
In other words, cut the cord, and just basically, and do it yourself is what you're saying.
Yeah, if you're working on a website that you can't manage yourself, I'm not talking about necessarily the initial build, but if you've got something that you can't manage yourself, and if it breaks, you got to go get somebody else to fix it for you.
Yes.
That's just not where websites are in 2015. So that's one rule of thumb. Mm-hmm. I would say the other is if your website is not responsive, meaning that when somebody loads it on their smartphone or on their tablet, it looks exactly like the desktop version except teeny tiny. I'd say that's another good rule of thumb that it's time to update your site. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really at least partially from my perspective, the story of websites over the last 10 years that Squarespace has been around, that it went from, and we can sort of talk about the history a little bit, but it went from you need and I sort of call them priests, these developers who know the incantation, they know the magic words to type out to get your photo on there, to you could do it yourself. And it went from the assumption being that people are primarily going to be visiting your website from their desktop computer to you got to assume that people are primarily going to be visiting your website from their smartphone or tablet.
Or if they used front page to design it or something.
Well, I think that sort of the management follows from how it was designed and the tools it was created with.
Yeah, so if you have to call somebody up to do because you want to make a little change here, a little text here, and they're charging every time to do it, and if you can do a word processor, you can do it yourself because it's really not that big a deal. Is what you're saying? Then it's time to take a deep breath and and jump in. And it's not like you're jumping into something that's really like ice water. This is something really simple that most anybody can do, really. I'll tell you what, Jeremy, I got a lot more questions for you here, but we're at the bottom of the hour, so we'll take a little break.
Okay.
And then we'll get back. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Ben and I are talking to Jeremy Schwartz. He is Squarespace's professional manager. We're talking about designing your own website and how easy it can be. We'll get some more tips on how to design a successful website from Jeremy when we come back. A new News Tips Bulletin Review coming up. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
So, you came back. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Seagate ST2000DX001 Desktop SSHD. SSHD, not just a hard drive. And not an SSD. You're going to like this. With a special set of storage requirements in mind for populating NAS devices underlying a zero-footprint scanning station, we turned to Seagate for their recommendations, and a day and a half later received two of their ST2000DX001 drives with some noteworthy attributes. This is a solid-state hybrid drive, SSHD, meaning 8 gig of flash is there as a cache for a big boost in throughput. It's a 3.5-inch desktop, 2 terabyte, 7,200 RPM drive with a 64 meg DRAM cache and a 6 gigabit per second SATA 3, actually 3.1 interface. That's more than enough capacity overhead for our application. It may also be more than enough speed for scanning activities, but that speed makes a significant contribution to speeding up OCR, virus scans, and overnight backup chores. Bottom line, the Seagate solid-state hybrid 2 terabyte, 3.5-inch ST2000DX001 drive puts a premium on speed, less so on price. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Was that a all-new news and bulletin from Marty Winston?
All new. Yes, it is.
All right. Very cool, very cool. So welcome back to the Computer America Show. It's 34 minutes past the hour, and we have Jeremy Schwartz here from SquareSpace. We're talking about building your own websites in case you've never thought of it or you were looking into it. Looking into options. SquareSpace is definitely one of them. And one thing I got to ask you, because you seem pretty up to date on modern websites, and I've noticed that, like, especially from creating Computer America's new website to seeing the old stuff, and like there are trends that seem to go through website creation. It could be like the vertical search, the vertical search bar on the left to like there are elements that just kind of come in waves. And this latest one, I just want you to kind of say where this came from or why it's so prevalent, because you actually use it on your homepage, and that's kind of like the vertical scrolling through a website where it looks like you're not scrolling anywhere. It looks like a dynamic web page, but really you're just kind of scrolling down and you have things phasing in and phasing out. Like, are you promoting those kind of those kinds of websites to people to use themselves, or like what's the trends going on now with website creation?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, so there, that was, our homepage is really a showcase sort of homepage, and it's obviously heavily designed and really trying to communicate a lot about us as a company and sort of our sophistication and our brand. But I do think that homepage suggests a broader cutting edge of what websites are and what the trend is, and what I think what you're seeing is that sort of long website where there's a lot of scrolling, and as you scroll down, you're sort of functionally going to another page, even if you never navigate away, I think is really a reaction to people consuming the website on their phone and on a tablet, where clicking is a little bit more of a hassle, and just swiping your thumb from the bottom to the top to navigate along and sort of learn more about a company or an individual or an artist is a more natural sort of motion. So that's what I think the really long scrolling experience is about.
Okay, so yeah, and it's very stylized. I mean, I've seen more of that. I don't know if it's necessarily Squarespace on the websites that I happen to be seeing, but I do notice a lot of them. A lot of websites are starting to use that. I don't know again if that's just the the latest hottest thing, and people are liking it, so everybody's kind of jumping on it, and using it, and then after we'll see it so much, we're gonna, I've seen enough of that to death.
Right.
Because anything that's good, everybody's going to kind of jump on it. But then if everybody's doing it, then it's not as unique as it used to be. Is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, and I think a good problem that we have at Squarespace, given that we do have a pretty sizable subscriber base, is that we get to both respond to and I think to a certain extent create website trends. So we've got, I think, the best designers in the world thinking about what's the best website going to be in 2016 and making that available to the people. And they're looking at taking inspiration from websites right now, but they're going to really be the ones, and I think something I'm really proud of is taking really cutting edge design and bringing it, sort of to the masses. But I guess what that really points to me is the most important thing about a website, I always come back to it, is what's the purpose of it? The purpose of a website, if you are a radio host, if you are a restaurant, if you are a store, is to have an effective website given your specific goal. The purpose is not to have the most unusual website or the weirdest website or the wackiest technology. And I think that's a temptation that people fall into as well. And I feel like the perfect example is, like, wouldn't it be great if music started playing automatically when people visited my website? Because that would be really cool technology. And I think that if you're a restaurant, there's something that you could understand where they're coming from. They're sort of taking the offline version of their experience that they create at the restaurant, where of course you have music playing, and they're trying to translate that to the website and create that sort of experience, when in fact that's not really what people are looking for. And so it's a question that comes up. I really want music to autoplay on my Squarespace website, and you can't do it with Squarespace. And the reason is because that's not really effective. And what we really want is for people to be effective and constructive with their websites.
So you're sort of limiting them from using a feature like that because it is the consensus of the pros at Squarespace that this just isn't something cool to do.
I wouldn't say cool. I don't think it's even a matter of cool or uncool. I think just my own lived experience, I know that when I go to a website that has music that starts auto-playing, or that has a 75-second flash animation that I have to sit through before I can find out what time the restaurant opens, it's just a bad experience.
Let me just say that I hate that when that happens. A matter of fact, one of the things that I love about Chrome, and it's not even in Firefox, at least not now. I have to open several different pages at the same time, several different tabs because they contain news stories.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that, I click them on. They're all a series of links that Ben sends to me, and I do it. And if one of them starts auto-playing on Firefox, I didn't know which one it was. I had to shut down the whole thing and waste all the time that was there.
Right.
Whereas with Chrome, at least you see a little speaker appears in the tab that's playing the sound. And that's the culprit, and I click it and shut it down.
I know whichever product designer or customer service rep brought that back to the Google engineers and said, "Hey, here's a thing that would really actually improve people's lives.
Yeah.
Let them know which of the 20 tabs is playing that annoying music by giving them a little signal." I think that person, earned their equity in Google or whatever their compensation is.
Yeah, worth its weight in gold. And
absolutely.
But I agree with you. I mean, I think it's poor website design. It's like anything else. It's like art. There are some things there are some things that are intrinsic to the medium. In other words, that are considered to be great art or good art and really terrible art. What's terrible art? I mean, it's in the mind, the eye.
Anything I draw.
Yeah, but there are some things. It's like anything in design. I don't care if you're an interior decorator and you're decorating a room. There are good ones and there are bad ones. What makes it bad? I mean, who's sitting there?
Well, there are certain to maybe clarify Craig's point a little bit. From my perspective, it's like you can create a bathroom and you can say, I'm going to be avant-garde. I'm going to put a toilet right in the middle and no door. And yeah, it's avant-garde. No one's ever done it before because that's not a very practical way to go about it. Like same thing with a website. You can be new, cutting edge, designing avant-garde. But at the end of the day, if it's not, usable or practical, why do it?
I gotta tell you, Ben, I'm gonna, like I told you, I speak pretty regularly on the topic, and I get this question a lot about, basically, should I try and do cool stuff with my website? And I think I'm gonna use you could put a toilet in the middle of the bathroom example to help illustrate the point. I think that's very powerful.
You can take it home with you.
All right, excellent.
It's a good example, but you're right. There's some things that are just considered, in bad taste or poor design, and that's it. And I think a lot of us have experienced that one way or another.
And I think what sort of the power of Squarespace and the power of having these really talented individuals that work for Squarespace creating these templates is they're creating a framework, and they're also in certain areas creating guide rails for you. So, another example is people come up to me and say, I use such and such template, and what I really want is the logo to be on the left side of the screen, right in the middle, and I can't get it to work. Why can't I get it to work? And I say that's to a certain extent that's what you're paying us for, to not let you make that decision. That is. For $8 a month, you get hosting, you get a website, and you get us not letting you do that thing, which would be bad website design, and would ultimately make you less successful in what you really want to do, which is not have an unusual website. It's to have a successful business, or to have your friends see your photos, or whatever it is.
So.
Well, I guess we don't want to make it seem like you are protecting people from themselves, because that's not what you really want to do with people. But it's you have what you feel like is a pretty good range of ways or tools to get the job done without being to an extent unmanageable.
Yeah, exactly. I think what we try and do is give you the direction and degrees of freedom that are actually going to be useful to you, and let you play within that framework. I think that's exactly right. It's what's the most freedom we can give to people and have them be really successful. I think that's what we're trying to achieve.
Okay. So you're describing some of these pitfalls. Are there any common pitfalls to avoid when designing website other than the ones that you just mentioned? Any others that you might want to add to that?
Yeah, I think you have to assume, and there's different statistics on this, but I'll make up the number. You have to assume that if somebody somehow makes it to your website, they're not, your sister or your mom or your brother, that they're not going to stick around for more than 20 or 30 seconds. That you've got a very, very short amount of time to communicate who you are and, really importantly, what you want them to do. So I think one pitfall, and again, going back to the question of how do you know if it's time to change your website, is if it's not immediately obvious when somebody comes to your website what you do and what specific action you'd like them to take, you're going to struggle. So I think a pitfall is that real lack of focus and clarity, and creating a website without a specific purpose. I think I see a lot of websites where people are just sort of adrift. I think it's not keeping it up to date. It's people launching a blog and having a lot of ambition for their blog, and you go and you look at their blog, and the last post was from 2.5 years ago.
Oh yeah, well there's a term for that. What is it? When you have a blog that someone hasn't posted to it, it dies out. I'm blocking the name, but yeah, that's typical. What you'll have someone, they're enthusiastic for the start, and then of course they don't maintain it, and then it just kind of falls by the wayside.
Exactly. But I think there's actually then a converse to that where, and this is especially prevalent for for professionals or service providers who do project-based work. So you are, a bathroom designer, and you have your portfolio, and each time you do a new job, you add 10 new photos to your portfolio. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the year, you've got a portfolio that has 600 photos in it. And it takes a long time to load, and it's confusing to a visitor. And so I think staying really up to date and being really ruthless with your editing and saying, okay, this is my best project, and also it's going to replace something else because it's not going to be useful for there to be 30 projects on my project page. I think that's another, and what all these things are, I think, is losing focus on what you're trying to achieve. I think if you kind of constantly check back with what's the point, a lot of these mistakes are easier to avoid because they become more apparent as mistakes.
Okay, all right. Well, we're talking about pitfalls, but it sounds like we're also combining some of the key tips on maintaining a website, as you say. Don't do it too much, do it too little. It sounds to me like the pitfalls to avoid are sort of like some of the key things that you need to maintain the website, which is I think. Now, if someone needs help on technically, obviously Squarespace is going to help them, but if someone needs help on aesthetics, like designing it, what do you think of this, or what do you think?
Does your customer support just come on the phone, or be like the live chat? It's like, wow, that is not a good website. That sucks, and just like go on about their business.
We don't yet offer that sort of support, telling people that pink on a blue background is tough to read.
Yeah.
We don't provide that support. However, but just to the question, that we do maintain a list of people who. So we don't provide that sort of support. What color should my logo be, or what font should I use? But people who are looking for that sort of support can go to specialists.squarespace.com and find a list of 100-something really, really talented, and really affordable professionals who are happy to help out. And there's other options. You can go on marketplaces like Elance or Odesk or even Craigslist and say, I'm looking for some design help. I'm not looking for development help. I could build the thing, but I'd like some help making it look good and picking out the right colors. And there's people who are happy to help you on that.
Now, did you say you did offer templates, correct?
Yes, yeah. So the templates are the jumping off point.
Well, yeah. Can people use the templates as sort of as a guideline, or how robust are those templates?
They're robust and they're great. A thing I always say is if you give me your logo, your headshot, and your about me, a statement about who you are, I could build you a really great website in about 30 seconds. Because really, if you did nothing else but sort of swapped out the content that sort of the demo content that the templates come with, and put in your own photo and your own phone number, you'd be in really, really good shape and probably, in the top quartile of all websites in the world.
Wow. What does it cost to use Squarespace?
That's a great question, and this is like one of this is the punchline. This is the amazing moment. So it's a subscription service, and you could pay monthly or annually. If you pay by the year, depending on the level of service you want, and really this is mostly about how much e-commerce you do, it's either $8 a month. It works out to be either $8 a month, $16 a month, or $24 a month. If you don't want to commit to the year and you want to go month to month, it's $10, $20, and $30.
Okay. Is there like a free or trial?
There's a free 14-day trial. Pro tip from me: if you get to the end of the 14-day trial and you're still tweaking, you're not ready to go, email customer support and say, "Can I have some more time?" and they'd be happy to give it to you.
Oh, okay. There's a tip from Jeremy.
Don't tweet that though. You got to be listening to get that tip.
But I mean the pricing is like you kind of have me worked up there, because you're like, depending on the level of e-commerce and the technical support you need, and I've heard website hosting and that kind of thing, it can go up to a couple hundred into the $1,000s, and then you're like, oh yeah, our top of the line was 24, you said.
24, or if you don't want to commit to the year, $30 for a monthly.
That's not that's not going to break the bank at all. And I guess for especially if you're using this for a personal use, the $8 a month would be more than sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, frankly, I really like my job, and I like getting to talk to people about websites, because this is such great news to deliver to people, that if you're starting a business, or if you've got a personal blog, or you're a serious artist, the limiting factor is not going to be the price of a Squarespace website. And I like telling people, take that, if you're starting a company, or if you've got a marketing budget and you were thinking you were putting a couple $1,000s into your website, basically you don't have to budget anything for the hosting, for the website itself, because it's going to be $10 a month at Squarespace. And, take that money and hire a graphic designer and get a really good logo, hire a photographer and get some really great headshots done. Invest your money in something where there's real value, and there's no value. It's not worth it at this point in 2015 to be spending a lot of money on sort of the infrastructure, even the platform that your website is built on.
Okay, well that's some honest, cold advice, Good advice. Sure, yeah, exactly.
But that's good. Don't bother investing, and I say this with Lucy, don't bother investing in the platform. Invest in yourself. Like you said, the headshots, your logo, your design, your elements, but the platform itself, I guess Squarespace, you guys just kind of made it simple. So don't spend your money there.
That's it. And just actually, that reminds me of a pitfall. And again, the pitfalls are really about the decisions that people make and sort of where they're investing their time and effort. So I think another pitfall is, we, Squarespace, can give you this very, very beautiful and elegant platform to put your photographs up on, or to put your product photography up on, or put your headshot up on. But if your headshot is, a snapshot of that, your husband or your wife or your roommate took in your room, and there's a shadow behind you, and it looks like a cheap home shot, it's going to look better than it would otherwise. But that's a real pitfall, is not investing. I think you said it exactly right. Not investing in yourself. Not saying it's worth getting a photographer in here to take a photograph of me and my 3 colleagues, or my 3 employees. So when we have our website, it's going to look professional and legit. And we've got a great place to put those professional and legitimate photos up, because we've got a Squarespace site.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how do you know that your website is a successful one? I mean, how do you know that if you've done a good job?
Yeah, I think it's not the number of landings you got. It really, again, the success is the metric that you're looking for is where within your broader life or your broader business model and business machinery does the website fit? So if the point of the website is to help you get Twitter followers, and you're trying to create content and get people to land and follow you on Twitter, and nobody's following you, the website's not successful. And it's not because it's not loading quickly, it's not because it's ugly necessarily, but it's not successful because it's not doing what you want it to do. So I think and Google Analytics has really good tools, and Google Webmaster has tools on setting specific goals. So the goal is I want people to land, and I want them to click on the About Me page to learn more about us. That's the goal, because that's where they could inquire and get in touch with me about my services. It's worth setting up your Google Analytics and your Google Webmaster tools, which is, again, a simple thing to do with SquareSpace, and keeping track of those things and taking the time to sort of set up the infrastructure to be able to measure the things that actually matter. And the things that matter might not be sheer volume of landings. There's lots of ways to get landings. It's these other things that really only make sense within a broader context that extend beyond your website, because you are more than your website. The website's a component of what you're trying to do with your life.
Well, it's a lot to take in, and a lot of things to, but you have to, basically your website is going to be an extension of you, yourself. That's the idea here. That's what it's about. And you're going to get out of it as much as that you put into it, I would think.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say about Squarespace is, I'm trying to think of how you introduced me. I think you said Squarespace is a website builder, and we are. That is what we do. But if you ever looked at what our mission is, the mission is to build creative tools to help people give voice to their ideas. And I think there's something really powerful that it happens to be that in 2015, a really important tool for people to give voice to their idea, whether it's a political blog or their art portfolio or their business, a really important tool is their website. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to really empower people to do the things and to have a voice so they can be who they want to be. It sounds a little cheesy as I say it out loud, but I think that's really the mission that we're on. And websites is how we've chosen to execute that mission. But I sort of always joke that if 10 years from now everybody has holograms, and that's like what's really, really important to have an identity in this world, we're going to help people create really, really great holograms. And that's what we're trying to do.
Well, it looks like you're meeting with a lot of success, and that's a wonderful thing. What's the next thing for Squarespace? We only have about a minute left, but really quick, where do you see it going next?
Yeah, so the product keeps on getting better. I think a really big push for us in terms of effort throughout 2015 is e-commerce. So it started out as a thing you could do with Squarespace, and it's become more and more robust and more powerful of what really the kind of store you could run through Squarespace. So I think there's one thing. I can't really speak to whether we'll have a Super Bowl ad in 2016. That happens above me. But I think we're still going to be a website company, at least for the next couple of years, as far as I know. But yeah, I think you can expect new templates, so new beautiful jumping off points. Again, what's 2016 going to look like? Just check out Squarespace and we'll sort of give you a hint. I think e-commerce is going to become more and more robust. And we're going to, I'd say the other thing we'll do is keep investing in customer service. It's sort of it sounds like a platitude, but that's a huge thing for us.
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track, and I don't know if another Super Bowl thing would be necessary, but I got to tell you, especially. But listen, I want to thank you for being with us here, Jeremy, tonight. And again, we should have you back again in a little while and just see how things are developing and kind of keep an eye on what's going on with Squarespace. I think it's a great website, and I think it's very impressive what you have.
Cool platform.
Yes, it's a cool platform. Jeremy Schwartz, Professionals Manager for Squarespace. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight on Computer America.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you had a good time.
I did. Thank you so much, guys.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye. All right. There you go. Squarespace. Check it out for yourself. And of course, you can go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com. We have a link to Squarespace on our show notes page, so you can try that for yourself. Just go to it's March the 2nd. Go to that, and you'll see everything there. Coming up, computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America, and also our 3 big winners. We're going to announce them in the second hour as well. 3 winners to our Logitech contest. We've got some interesting stories coming up here on the show, including a new 27-inch monitor for $279 from Bang. We've got a lot of interesting stories here. A 7-inch phone. Good grief, that's really big. All these stories and more coming up on Computer America. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben, who can't find the mute switch.
That's right. He said, it doesn't sound as bad as it did before. I don't know if it's what the problem is, but we'll work it out.
We will work through it. Sorry, folks, if there's a bit of a hum, but coming tomorrow, it will not be there. We promise.
You should just leave yourself off. Don't mute yourself, because it seems when you don't mute yourself, when you unmute yourself, it's louder and then it kind of stables out. So yeah, just leave that off. I think that'll be better. Anyway, we're going to be again, thanks to Squarespace for being on with us the first hour, and check it out at squarespace.com, or you can go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com and check it out for yourself. As I mentioned, we've got our 3 winners for the.
Oh yeah, we should probably not start off the hour with some we start off the hour with the winner, bottom of the hour winner, and before the very end of the show, the grand winner.
All right, we can do that. Okay. All right. Well, then let's do that. Let's start off again. This is and by the way, if you go to computeramerica.com, you click on our Logitech contest, you'll see it's all up again. We've started the contest again, and you can see that for yourself. Just for my edification here, the contest begins tonight, which is March the 2nd, and it goes for 6 weeks. So it'll go through Friday, April the 10th, and then at midnight we'll finish it up, and then over the weekend we'll draw 3 winning names, and April the 13th we'll draw 3 new winning names. The prizes remain the same. The third place prize is the Logitech HD Webcam C310. The second place, valued at $50. The second place prize is the Logitech G400S optical gaming mouse, valued at $60. And the grand prize is the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker, valued at $70. So that contest is up and running, and certainly invite you to join it. But in the meantime, let's go for our third place prize winner. Okay, we'll do that now. And our third place prize winner, and this is for the Logitech HD Webcam C310, valued at $50, is Kyle Thrower.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle. Kyle listens to us in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas, exactly. And he actually has a comment. He says, Kyle, we have a rule here that you have to wait a year. If you win something before, after you win something, wait a year. Kyle actually won something from us like about 3 years ago. I don't know, 2009 was that's actually
what? That's 6 years ago.
Oh yeah, 6 years ago. This higher math kind of throws me, Ben.
And yes, you can only win a prize once every year, but since there are so many entries, the odds are against you. But that does not mean that you will never win again.
That's true. And here's a perfect example. Kyle Thrower from and he actually had a comment. He says, here's his comment. He says, I have loved your products for years. He's talking to Logitech. I love the Computer America show. He's talking to us. I have listened for 8 years. You have the best products I have ever used with my computers, and I hope to use your products forever. Thank you, Logitech. So there you go. Congratulations, Kyle Thrower.
There is a lot of love for Logitech.
Yes, there is. Okay, so congratulations to you. You're our third place prize winner, the Logitech HD Webcam C310. And as Ben said, we'll announce the second place at the bottom of the hour, and then our first place right toward the end of the hour as we continue that. So now, I think it's time to do some computer news, unless there's anything else you want to mention.
Not a thing.
Okay, let's do it. Tonight's Computer and Technology News is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for
free.
For free, exactly. Everything at slimwareutilities.com is completely free. We use them here at the Crossman household. We highly recommend that you download them because, hey, why not? They're free and they really do the job. They will truly clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Even back it up. They have their Rec Image product. Just go there, download everything, and keep it ready. Run them when you can, and use them when you need to. You'll be very happy that you did. I guarantee it, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com. And this first story, as I mentioned, this is from Paul Lilly, Maximum PC, BenQ starts shipping a 27-inch monitor for $279. Now, this is, he says, hype is high. He says, BenQ today announced its 27-inch blazing fast professional gaming monitor is now shipping, meaning you should be able to find it online. If not now, then soon. Selected as the official console gaming monitor of both Major League Gaming, and that's MLG, and UMG. They hype the machine is in overdrive on this one. We haven't played with this particular models ourselves just yet, though we have glanced the spec sheet. This is according to Paul, Maximum PC. Now, according to BenQ, this monitor rocks an ultra-fast 1 millisecond response time with 12 million to 1 high dynamic contrast ratio. It also supposedly features ultra-low input lag to FSP and fighting games like the new Halo and Mortal Kombat.
FPS, not FSP.
Yeah, FPS, you're right. It's the dyslexics thing, I guess. Okay. By rendering action without ghosting or latency from mouse motion, gamers are able to see more details and spot opponents faster for a more seamless console gaming experience. Using the monitor's new fighting mode, gamers can also access specific color calibration settings to help highlight character during combat, leading to increased precision and more furtive strikes. This is again according to BenQ. It's a full HD, that's a 1080p 1920 by 1080 monitor, which is really the only display spec that matters. What we mean by that is the lack of industry standards and other specs make their listed ratings of little value. In any event, it also comes with dual HDMI ports, a visibility-enhancing black equalizer, and Revolution Eyes technology to reduce eye fatigue. Okay. The BenQ, the RL2755HM, it just rolls trippingly off the tongue, these titles, carries an MSRP of 279 simoleons. Okay.
That is pretty cheap for such a for such a powerful monitor.
Yeah, it is. It's not Ultra HD, but hey, it's 1080p.
Yeah, but again, it's that Ultra HD, and sure, you can get that and all, but at this point with video games, that's not something you want.
Okay. Why?
Because if you were playing a game that's only supported in 1080p, or only has a certain amount of monitor resolutions available, then why would you want a 4K monitor when you'd have black bars at some point on your monitor?
Why can't? But I understand those 4K monitors actually upscale. So
they can upscale, but if the resolution isn't supported, and really it's a problem with your graphics card as well as your monitor, sometimes they aren't very simpatico. and at that point you get black bars.
Okay. You say black bars are like it's a bad thing.
Black bar, oh yeah, right in the middle of your screen, just right in the middle. No, like letterboxing.
Right.
That can happen with monitors that aren't supported. So
That's good.
1080p, it really is at this point for gaming as close to a standard as you can get. So it's not a drawback.
No. And a 12 million to 1 contrast ratio. Wow, that's pretty cool.
I really like the 1 millisecond latency response time.
Yeah.
That is crazy because I remember when it was like 4 or 5 or 6 millisecond was the great high spec. So 1 is crazy.
Yeah. Do you think you could tell between 6 and 1 latency?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because when you're playing games online, because there's a latency issue of milliseconds with that kind of thing, you can tell the difference between 90 and 100. You can tell the difference between 60 and 70, and you can tell the difference between 13 and 23. So when you're dealing with latency from your internet as well as from your computer monitor and from all of your hardware, that latency is going to add up.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Just better not to have your bottleneck be your hardware, which with this, with that monitor, it doesn't seem to be the case.
I agree. Okay. All right. So what else you got for us?
This next one, this is a big news for anyone who's trying to develop a video game. And this is from Max and PC. Epic ditches subscription fee for Unreal Engine.
Ooh.
But the 5% royalty rate still applies to commercial projects. At last year's Game Developers Conference, Epic Games made the decision to license its next-generation Unreal Engine 4 to anyone and everyone for $19 a month, giving subscribers unfettered access to its complete C++ source code hosted in GitHub. If you sold and or made money from your creation, you'd end up paying Epic a 5% royalty on top of the subscription fee. Nearly a year later, the 5% fee remains, but they've now removed the $19 per month subscription.
Oh,
that's
okay.
good. Future updates will be free as well, though we want to be careful not to haphazardly throw around the F word, the F word being free. As it stands now, the 5% royalty applies to gross revenue after the first $3,000 per product per quarter. If you code an awesome game, sell it online, and gross $1 million next quarter, you would owe Epic Games $49,850 by our fuzzy math, because 5% of 997,000, and leaving you with $950,000.
Okay.
So pretty much make $1 million, and you still get to keep $950,000. This is the same Unreal Engine 4 the big boys and girls use when developing blockbuster titles. It's not given for casual or curious programmers or hobbyists, and beyond the tools, you have access to the entire ecosystem. They have a quote here from Epic saying that chat in the forums, add to the wiki, participate in the Answer Hub Q&A, and join collaborative development projects via GitHub. Buy content in the marketplace or build your own and sell it there. For our current subscribers to the defunct paid plan, Epic will be issuing a prorated refund for their most recent month's payment. On top of that, anyone who has ever paid for an Unreal an Unreal Engine 4 subscription will receive a $30 credit line that can be spent in the Unreal Engine marketplace. We'll have to wait and see, as Craig would say, to see if this has any effect on Crytek, which licenses its CryEngine for $9.90 a month, which is their competitor. The difference there is Crytek doesn't include the full source code. There's a separate license model for that. So why is this big news?
Yes.
This is big news because if you've ever wanted to get into game development and things like that, you would originally have to pay these guys $20 a month just to use it, and then on top of that, if you ever made any money, you pay them the 5% royalty, which is completely fair. Unreal Engine has put a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of manpower and research into developing their Unreal Engine. So it makes sense that to piggyback on their hard efforts, 5% isn't that much for giving you the platform to create your game, right?
Right.
Right. So 5%, and now you, me, anyone, for absolutely free can go get all these tools that the AAA blockbuster video game makers use. You can
Same
go
thing.
out and get it for free right now.
Wow. You think that miffs those big blockbuster?
No, because they're in the same boat. They don't want to have to go back to the drawing board and recreate the engine that the game runs on every time they start a new video game. That is millions of dollars saved on manpower, working hours, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't care as long as there is a good engine. They don't care.
There you go. Okay, cool.
So I guess at this point, Epic is just hoping that more people get interested in video games, use their platform because it is free, and then hopefully more people make more than $3,000 a month, and then the money starts rolling in anyways. If anything, taking down that $19 per month price barrier opens them up to making tons more money if people start successfully selling more games using their engine.
All right.
Which, for the average Joe, if you never plan to sell a single game in your life but you're interested, you can now go get Unreal Engine 4 for absolutely free and do with it what you want.
There you go.
This is like if Photoshop or Adobe, with their entire creative suite, said no more subscription model. If you make any money off of it, pay us 5%, but go ahead, use all of our tools for free. It's along the same lines. It's an amazing amount of resources that you now have access to for no charge.
Yeah, it's nice. Very nice. Oh, man, I remember when flashcards and memories were in the megabytes. SanDisk, again, according to Maximum PC Paul Lilly, just unveiled its new micro SD card. This is a micro. It's not even an SD card. It's a micro SD card.
This is crazy.
You want to guess how much storage is on this thing?
I don't have to because I read the article.
Yeah, 200 gigabytes of storage into this tiny little micro SD card.
Okay, let's put it this way. I have a 56 gigabyte solid state drive in my computer.
Yeah.
I could fit 4 of those on this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a
micro USD.
Yeah, it's really tiny. According to the story, there are several new phones and tablets being introduced at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. But on the storage side of things, SanDisk yesterday introduced its 200 gigabyte Ultra Micro SD XE UHS 1 card, Premium Edition. I think it's a 1 or an I can't tell you. It's one or the other. That's not just a massive amount of storage for a device that's about the size of your fingernail. It's the highest capacity micro SD card in the world, according to SanDisk. The 200 gigabyte card offers 56% more storage space than the record-breaking 120 gigabyte SanDisk Ultra Micro SD XZ card the company introduced a year ago. So in 1 year, they've almost doubled it, basically. Both were made possible by leveraging a proprietary technology the company designed last year that allows for a new design and production process with more bits per die. They got a quote here: "We continue to push technology boundaries to deliver record-breaking solutions that transform the way consumers use their mobile devices," said the vice president of product marketing for SanDisk. "By focusing on achieving new capacity and speed milestones, we are able to deliver trusted mobile memory solutions that give consumers the freedom to never stop capturing, saving, or sharing, with the benefit of fast speeds to transfer it all quickly." SanDisk says the card supports data transfers at up to 90 megabytes per second, not megabits, 90 megabytes per second. That's enough to push 1,200 photos every second. 1,200 photos every second. That combination of speed and capacity is certainly enticing and expensive. It will carry an MSRP of $400 when it becomes available in the second quarter. Still, if you want to be bleeding edge, this is certainly one to do. And of course, a year later it'll be, $50.
No, really. A year later, it'll be $50, and then they'll have a 500 gigabyte
Yeah, yeah,
micro SD out there.
yeah, exactly. But there it is. Technology continues to improve. That is certainly impressive. 200 gigs on a micro SD card. Way to go, Sandus.
That really is crazy. Just like you don't really hear about the advancements in micro SD, and then just to hear that 200 gigs, it blows your mind.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, and you were kind of joking about this one, and it is funny because I think we've kind of hit that magical point. Now, I've had a 7-inch tablet before. It was a tablet, like you would digest media on it. It would, it was a pretty good e-reader. You could surf the web on it, that kind of thing. It was just a plain 7-inch tablet. I even forget the maker. But as for holding up to your face and using it as a phone, I would never do. Well, here's where Huawei's,
Yeah.
yeah. They have a MediaPad X2. Is a phone with a 7-inch display. This is the first time where I think they used the giant's hand to grip this thing just to make it look smaller than it actually is. Because they have the 7-inch phone, which right now, undoubtedly, between the iPhone 6, 6 Plus, with all the Android phones that are out there that are really, between all the Galaxies and stuff like that, the most popular phones right now are definitely the phablets. They're phones that are getting larger and larger screens with more and more power behind them. They are blurring the line between tablet and phone, but they're blurring the line in such a way that there's definitely a third category in there. It's not just a smartphone anymore. You can actually, consume, websites, videos, pictures, things like that. You can actually use the phone to, go to the sources. Well, here's one that's taking it, I think, and Craig will get your opinion on this. They're taking it a step too far, because where a smartphone would maybe had like the 4.3-inch screen, a phablet had like a 5.8-inch screen, and now they're coming out with the 7-inch screen, which is securely in the bottom portion of tablets, because 7-inch is the beginning of the tablet market. That's where I think this thing's going to trip up, because people don't want a tablet that they can put in their pocket and put in their hold up to their ear. They want a phablet. They want a phone that can also be a tablet. Just because right now bigger is better doesn't mean biggest is better.
Yeah.
Which 7 inches you're getting there. So while his first Android Wear smartwatch might be grabbing the headlines, Huawei also has a new phablet on display at the Mobile World Conference this year. The MediaPad X2 is a sequel to last year's X1, which, depending on how you look at it, was either a small tablet or an enormous phone. There's not a lot new to look at here. Aesthetically, it's very similar to the X1, but internally there were a few changes. They updated, they have like 802.11ac Wi-Fi in this thing, more RAM, higher processor power, that kind of thing, more memory in them. Other than that, though, is pretty much everything identical to the original one. It has a 7-inch screen, 1920 by 1200 display. Yeah, that's a higher resolution than the $300 monitor we were talking about earlier for gamers.
Wow.
They have a 13 megapixel camera and a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. LTE connectivity, yada yada yada, $450 about ish, and I really don't see this thing taking off.
I don't either. I think it's an anomaly. I have a friend of mine who has an iPhone 6 Plus, and that seems gigantic to me. But I think they're sort of like at the limit for a smartphone. Anything bigger, it becomes, I think, ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely a point where you can still have a larger screen, and the phone can still be manageable. Definitely, the original iPhones, they had their 3.5-inch screens, they had their 4.3-inch screens, that kind of thing. They were definitely easy to wield. If you wanted to chuck it out the window, it would fit perfectly in the palm of your hand. But ever since website and browsing and videos became more popular, I think right now the phone market has a pretty good feel for how big the screen should be. And the 5.8-inch screens and maybe, just maybe, up to the 6-inch screens, they're doing okay. But as soon as you hit 7, you are right where tablets start at.
Well, yeah, I think that's it. I think as I said, what's the size of the iPhone 6 Plus? It's what?
6 Plus, I want to say it's 5.8, but I'll look that up real quick.
Yeah, that's about 5.8. I think that's the biggest you're going to get for it, and still call it a phone before it goes into the next category.
Well, again, I don't want to sound like the person that's just going to say, hey, iPhone got it right, iPhone's the best at what it does. No, Android did it before it, and Android has a very good screen sizes. So just want to take Apple out of the equation.
Okay, there you go.
The smartphone market right now has a pretty good screen size selection.
Yep. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay. All right. Well, sticking to the stories about smartphones, according to Wired magazine, there's now a free iPhone app that encrypts calls and text. So if you own an iPhone or an Android handset and care about your privacy, there's no longer much of an excuse not to encrypt every conversation you have. Now, a free zero learning curve app exists for both text and voice that can keep those communications fully encrypted so that no one but the person holding the phone on the other end can decipher your words. Today, the open source encryption software group Open Whisper Systems announced a new upgrade to Signal, its iOS app that enables end-to-end encrypted voice calling. With the update, Signal will end-to-end encrypt text messaging too, and in Wired's testing of that updated all-in-one app, it's just as idiot-proof as the two most basic lime green iPhone communications buttons it replaces. The objective is to be complete, transparent replacement for secure communications, said the Open Whisper Systems founder. We want to have a texting and call experience that's actually better than the default experience and is also private. In fact, the Signal update completes a suite of mobile encryption apps that Marlon Spike, that's the CEO, has been developing for nearly 5 years. In May of 2010, he released Red Phone and Text Secure for Android, two apps that enabled end-to-end encrypted voice calls using voice over IP and the ZRTP protocol developed by PGP creator Phil Zimmerman. Pretty good protection, by the way, and text messages. But users of those apps could communicate only with other Red Phone and Text Secure users, leaving iPhone users in the cold. Soon after, Marlon Spike's startup Whisper Systems was acquired by Twitter, putting his encryption app to work on a 2-year hiatus. Okay, so basically, Text Secure's functionality, that meant iPhone users could have free, secure conversations with their Android-owning friends and each other. Today's update includes Text Secure's functionality too, so that users of the two biggest smartphone operating systems can finally both call and text each other with encryption that foils virtually any eavesdropper. Before Signal, the only widely used end-to-end encryption calling and texting app for iPhone was Silent Circle, which was aimed mostly at corporate users and cost between $13 and $40 a month compared with Signal's free service. Okay. So there you go. I mean, the article goes on and on to talks a lot more, but basically there it is. If you're looking for a free, easy to use, virtually transparent system to call anybody, be it an iPhone or another Android phone, it looks like the Signal is what you're looking for, and it just came out today, so we just thought we'd give you a heads up with that.
Still, privacy is still a very big hot button topic.
Yes, it is. All right, should we announce our next winner after the commercial break or before? Yeah, let's do it after.
Yeah, let's do it after. All right, so I know we only have about a minute left, so let's see. We could talk about how even though oil, the stuff that we, the dino poop that we burn to move our cars, even though that could go below $10 a barrel, they say that oil can't match solar on cost. And this is coming out of Dubai, a place where they're very big on, oil. So, we could talk a little bit about that and how that's good, because as a technology program, we enjoy solar technology, wind technology, stuff like that. And when it gets very, very efficient, that's going to be good for everyone. Uh, Apparently, there's an Easter egg with the Tesla Model S. Is the Model S the SUV?
I think it is. I think that's what the one that.
Or is that the Model T is their sports car, right?
I think so. That's what
Yeah.
my friend.
Well, apparently the Tesla Model S owners can pretend they're in a James Bond submarine with a Tesla, whatchamacallit, Easter egg that they
Really?
put in there. Yep. And they're and here's my favorite one by far. Not big into science, as in I don't understand much of it, but apparently for the first time, light has been photographed as a wave and a particle at the same time for the first time.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, because we knew it behaved as both, but we never really saw how it was able to do that. This is how it does it.
All right, you listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Another brand new News Tips Bulletin Review from Marty Winston's coming up, and then another winner here on our contest. Stay tuned. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. Their mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
On behalf of the people of America, we welcome you. Hi, this is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the ScanSnap SV600. The ScanSnap group at Fujitsu continues to make the best performing end-user scanners in the category, and their UltraStance SV600, looks a little bit like a banker's desk lamp, takes that in a whole new direction. It's an overhead scanner, not just a camera, with a band of LED light that scans across a sheet, a book, or an object up to 1 inch plus thick, more or less nodding its head to feed the CCD optics. It's smart enough to keep working when you turn pages or flip sheets. Their software is intuitive, if a bit quirky, but happily, it all just works. Bottom line, the new ScanSnap SV600 stand scanner brings ScanSnap speed, quality, and convenience to whole new realms. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour, and before we get back to our computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimmer Utilities, we should probably announce our second place winner in our Logitech contest.
Oh, we have a second place winner. Okay, well, we should do that then. Okay, absolutely. Our second place prize winner. This is for the Logitech G400 gaming mouse, valued at $60. $60. And that goes to...
There you go.
Ooh, that lag. I had to wake up the drummer. I had to elbow him, you know. Okay, he's doing all right. Jonathan Morley.
All right, go Jonathan.
Jonathan, congratulations. You're our second place winner. And Jonathan listens to us in Tucson, Arizona. And he has a comment here, too. He says, thanks for the great show, exclamation point. Helps me stay current in the tech world. So there it is. Congratulations, Jonathan Morley. our second place. And Jonathan evidently won a prize, too, at least 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So these are 2 repeats so far. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Hey, you know, the odds of that are astronomical, but
They
hey,
have. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I think Jonathan's he's in the chat room too. Yeah.
that's the Jonathan that joins us in chat room. If you would like to wish him congratulations, come into the chat room and say, Jonathan, you took my prize. How dare you?
Yeah. It's yeah, exactly. Congratulations, Jonathan. It's him. Yep. Okay. Awesome. All right. So Ben and I are continuing to do computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America, and we'll have our grand prize winner before the end of the show. So it's my turn to do a story. So let's.
Are you sure?
It was. No?
I think it's mine.
Okay, go for it.
Because I think I teased like 3 of them, but you know I didn't have time.
Okay.
So we're gonna do this one from Popular Science, and this is the first time, as I said, a light particle or a light particle and or wave has been photographed as both a particle and a wave. So you know, scientists have long known that light can behave as both a particle and a wave. Einstein first predicted it in 1909, but
Well,
no
he was ahead
experiment.
of his time, wasn't he?
He was very ahead of his time, but no. Well, he was and he wasn't. He did the math, but he couldn't do the experiments.
Okay.
But no experiment has been able to show light in both states simultaneously. Now, researchers at the École Polytechnique some university over in Switzerland has taken over the first ever photograph of light as both a wave and a particle.
Wow.
The key was a new experiment technique that uses electrons to capture the light's movement. The work was published today in the journal Nature Communications. To get this snapshot, the researchers shot laser pulses at a nanowire. The wavelengths of light moved in 2 different directions along the metal. When the waves ran into each other, they looked like a wave standing still, which is effectively a particle. In order to see how the waves were moving, the researchers shot a beam of electrons at the nanowire, like dropping dye in a river to see the currents.
Yeah.
The particles in the light wave changed the speed at which the electrons moved. That enabled the researchers to capture an image just as the waves met. And yeah, that's pretty much it. They have a quote here. This experiment demonstrates that for the first time ever, we can film quantum mechanics and its paradoxical nature directly. You know, they said that was from one of the authors of the study. Carbone hopes that a better understanding of how light functions can jumpstart the field of quantum computing.
Now I'm looking at this. Now it looks like I'm looking at the picture, and it looks like a wave, not a particle. Where is the particle?
It looks like a wave, but I think, I'm sorry for everyone who's listening to us on the radio, and you know we don't even have a picture of it up on our webcam or anything. But if you look it up, light particle wave picture, whatnot, I think if you measured any one of those peaks, because there's like peaks and valleys, like it looks kind of like a mountain range, kind of building up.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you measured it at any one of those times, you would get those peaks, and that peak, if you just measured at that particular moment, would be a particle. But when you take the entire, you know, kind of video time lapse, you're seeing the particle points, and then you're also seeing it behave as a wave.
Now, what is the thing behind it? That pattern behind it, the wave.
Probably just the raw data, and then like this is like the 3D, you know, compilation of it.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
So at any rate, I am in no way a scientist, and I actually skipped as many science courses as I could in high school. So I'm probably the last one to explain this. But yes, smarter people than we have photographed a light particle wave doing both at the same time, which we've all seen the Discovery Channel experiments where they have like the two slit or the three slit paper experiment.
Yeah.
Where if there's no camera on it and they shot the light, then it appeared like a wave, and then when they turned the camera on and they started monitoring it, it appeared to be a particle.
Wow.
So like for quantum mechanics, that was so weird, because how can a result be different when you don't monitor it and it gives you one result, and then when you do monitor it, it gives you a completely different result? And it was so confusing. So this is like I said, this is the first time quantum mechanics has been filmed. And quantum mechanics being filmed means quantum computers are that much closer.
There you go. Well, you say better minds are more important.
Better minds than we, but it's the takeaway.
Yeah,
you have to understand what is going on in quantum mechanics before you can start using them in quantum computers.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Anyway, let's do another story here. This one from Engadget. Lyft rewards its drivers for picking you up more often. Now, Lyft is a ride-sharing service. Like there's what, Uber is another one. But anyway,
Uber and Lyft seem to be the two, and apparently the taxi organizations of America or whatever.
A ride-sharing service only helps you out if drivers want to pick you up in the first place, and Lyft clearly knows it. The company just countered Uber's new perk system with one of its own. Accelerate, as it's called, puts drivers in one of these three status levels depending on how many rides they offer in a given month. Everyone starts out as Silver, which offers basic access to Lyft's preferred providers for services like health insurance. If they handle at least 20 rides a month, though, they'll move up to a Gold rank that gives them discounts on everything from car maintenance to movie tickets. And if they're committed enough to offer 200 rides a month, wow, they'll get a Platinum level status that bumps them to the front of the queue whenever they ask Lyft's headquarters for help. Okay? Now, it's hard to know whether or not the incentives will lure many contractors away from Uber, but they could be more effective in certain areas. Since Accelerate is based on the number of rides rather than hours on the road, like Uber's Momentum, those rewards will kick in faster for drivers who have a lot of short but sweet fares. Either way, this is good news if you're a Lyft-friendly city. You may get quicker rides home thanks to drivers willing to remain available just a little bit longer. So there it is. That's kind of interesting.
Perks programs, they're good, but hopefully this doesn't shy people away from like new people coming into the pool. Hopefully.
Okay. All right.
You okay over there?
I'm okay with that.
All right. No, just make sure you're okay over there.
Yeah, I'm okay over there.
Okay, you're okay over there.
I was just reading in the chat room that someone remembers our Computer America beach balls from years ago. Actually, he has one. So we have some diehard.
I remember when you sent those out. We monogrammed beach balls with Computer America, and they were multicolored, and then there were special white ones.
Yeah.
And we got all of our listeners from all over the world to say, "Hey, send us your address, and we'll send you a beach ball absolutely free."
Yep.
And about a metric ton of people took us up on that offer, and I think we only were able to ship out like 500 beach balls, which is still impressive.
Yeah, 500 beach balls was impressive.
But yeah, we shipped 500 out, and apparently one of our chat room moderator was actually one of the recipients of a beach ball.
Yes, there you go.
They're one of the few collector's items you can have from Computer America.
They are very, very rare, and they are collector's items.
Right next to the baby Computer America jumpsuit and the Computer America thong. Both very hard to both very hard to acquire, yet
and
both very practical.
And wear, yes, exactly. Okay.
Especially at the same time.
Uh-huh. All right.
Gives you a wedgie. Anyways, so I like this one. Even at $10 a barrel, oil can't match solar on cost, which is, let's face it, folks, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear renewable energy, solar, wind, what have you, be the next great fuel, be the cheapest fuel out there and the easiest to get, because solar, that would solve a lot of problems. So one of the biggest banks in the Middle East and the oil-rich Gulf countries says that fossil fuels can no longer compete with solar technologies on price, and says that the vast bulk of the $48 trillion needed to meet global power demand over the next 2 decades will come from renewables. Wow. $48 trillion
That's a lot of money.
to do 20 years of power.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. So the report from the National Bank of Abu Dhabi says that while oil and gas has underpinned almost all energy investments until now, future investments will be almost entirely in renewable energy sources. The report is important because in the Gulf region, the Middle East, and North Africa will need to add another 170 gigawatts of electricity in the next decade, and the major financiers recognize that the cheapest and most effective way to go is through solar and wind. It also highlights how even the biggest financial institutions in the Gulf are thinking about how to deploy their capital in the future. Apparently, quote, cost is no longer a reason not to proceed with renewables. It says that the most recent solar tender showed that even at $10 a barrel for oil, solar is still a cheaper option. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, gas, solar, and they go into more of the economics of it, which I really don't feel like getting into right now. But just safe to say that the cheap oil prices that we are seeing right now, and believe me, I'm feeling the relief at the pump every time I fill up.
Yes.
Even though it's starting to creep back up, it's still a far cry from what it used to be. Solar is on its way to help offset oil, because I don't think oil is really going to go away for the next couple decades. But if we can kind of limit its use and start using solar in more and more places, that's going to make one of the biggest contributions to lower gas prices.
Yes, it will be. Yes, it will.
Which is awesome.
Yes, it is. All right. Now, I don't know if you want to wear one of these on your wrist, but evidently, according to the Daily Mail, the world's most accurate clock, scientists created a new way of measuring time that loses just 1 second every 16 billion years.
You didn't say that like Carl Sagan.
Billion.
Billion.
Billion, yeah. Okay, well, evidently, so this is the story. A clock that is so accurate it will lose just 1 second in 16 billion years has been created by scientists. I don't think you can wear this on your wrist, though. I don't think the Apple Watch is anything to wear.
It's probably closer to a computer program more than a physical clock.
Well, the device is made using...
No, yeah, you're right. It's actually a device. You're right,
Yeah.
You're right.
The device made using supercooled atoms held within a lattice of laser beams is around 1,000 times more precise than the atomic clocks currently used to define time. Researchers say clocks with this level of accuracy could open up new areas of science by allowing tiny changes, fluctuations in the strength of gravity to be measured. This is because time in a powerful gravitational field will move more slowly than in a weaker field. A gravity-induced time dilation predicted by Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. There's Einstein again. Smart guy. By placing these hyper-accurate clocks at various depths around the world, it will be possible to measure tiny changes in the Earth's gravity. It could help geologists understand some of the processes that drive events like earthquakes and may even make it possible to predict them. The head of the Quantum Metrology Laboratory at the Riken Center for Advanced Photonics in Japan said the clock could also be used to develop a new international standard for the second. He said, if we can miniaturize this technology further, it would have useful applications since tiny fluctuations in gravitational potential could be used to detect underground resources, underground spaces, and the movement of lava. We also hope that in the future this will accelerate the movement toward a new definition of the international second based on optical lattice clocks to an even more stringent standard than the current definition of the second.
Don't you hate it when you're calling someone from Norway and you're in Japan and you call and you're like, hey, can you call me at 5 p.m. my time? And they call you at 4. Let's see, wait, what was the old time clock? When they call you at 4:59 and 59,000,000,003 seconds, doesn't that just make you mad and say, man, scientists, when are you going to get on your game and get a more accurate atomic second?
Absolutely.
Jeez, like the level of precision, I get it. Science is all about precision, but the level of precision that they're making here,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Well, you know, the best cesium atomic clocks are accurate to around 1 second every 100 million years, but this takes it to 16 billion years. It takes it to a whole new level of accuracy.
Apparently, the age of the universe, or at least the age of the observable universe, is only about 13.5 billion years. So, if this clock was running since the beginning of time, or at least the beginning of the universe, it wouldn't even be off by a second.
Wow, that's right. That's right. That's pretty darn accurate. Although I understand the Apple Watch is really accurate though too. So.
Well, hopefully it'll be set to this atomic clock and not the old, 1 second every 100 million years. That piece of garbage that thing is now. That thing that is currently being used as a paperweight and or a footrest in someone's office. Like, oh yeah, no, this is the old one. It's only accurate, 1 second every 100 million years. We just kind of use it, as like a doorstop nowadays. This one is amazing.
1 second every 16 billion years. Boy, that's.
I mean, really, you can't keep the old atomic clock around because that's why you have a better one.
Yeah. But the first they got to get it in place. But they will.
Yeah. Crazy. All right, so we have 2 news stories that I really want to do, so we're going to back-to-back them. The first one that we're going to do is probably the most pressing news story we have today. And then the second one is about Google getting into the wireless phone carrier business.
And we still have to announce a winner.
And we still have to announce a winner. So the first one we're going to do, IKEA. Yes. Newest furniture can charge your phone wirelessly.
That's cool.
Perfect. So IKEA is literally supercharging its furniture. The Swedish purveyor of do-it-yourself home decor says it's debuting a new line of desks, lamps, and tables that will be able to wirelessly charge your phone or tablet. The furniture uses the QI wireless charging standard, which is one of the main competitors to the wireless charging landscape. The Power Matters Alliance is another key player, which has this technology in stores like Starbucks and McDonald's. There's also the Alliance for Wireless Power, or A4WP, which is expecting to merge with PWA later this year, hopefully paring down the fragmentation to 2 options. Because when there's new standards, apparently so many bored people decide to come up with their own acronyms and try to be the new standard.
By the way, that's called the Key wireless charging system. It's spelled Q.
Key, not QI. Key. The furniture is to debut in the U.S. and the U.K. in April, then expand worldwide. IKEA says the pieces start at around €40 or $45. IKEA also plans to sell a kit that will allow you to add a wireless charging spot to existing furniture.
Very nice.
And they have a little segment here. Again, this was from Tech Hive, Derek Walter, and they ask him why this matters. IKEA doesn't want to be left out of the move towards the smart and connected home. You may want to be cautious about jumping in given the uncertainty over which wireless standard will win out. You don't want to have a set of tables and lamps and furniture equivalent of HD DVD. But hey, if you're already using the Key wireless charging standard, go to IKEA. Apparently they have the stuff you need.
Yes, evidently.
So, and also, before we get to the next article, I think we should announce our grand prize winner of our Logitech contest.
All right, that's a good idea. Okay, this is for the grand prize. This is for the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker system, valued at $70. And that winner is Marilyn Holt. Hey, Marilyn, congratulations.
Hey, Marilyn.
Yes, Marilyn listens to us in Roseburg, Oregon, and she has a comment. She says simply, "Awesome prize!" Exclamation point. So there you go. So congratulations to all of our
Awesome
winners.
prize. I want it. Give it. Okay.
Our third place winner for the HD Logitech HD Webcam C310 is Kyle Thrower in Las Vegas. The second place winner is Jonathan Morley for the G400S gaming mouse, valued at $60. Congratulations, Jonathan. And our grand prize winner, Marilyn Holt in Roseburg, Oregon, wins the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker system. Congratulations to all of you. And as I said, the contest is up again at ComputerAmerica.com. Let the entries begin. And we look forward to announcing another 3 winners in April. Okay.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. All right. So, your other story.
Yes, the other story is Google. And every time they do something, they completely, upturn everything. So Google confirms wireless efforts, plans bigger reveal in coming months. Don't look for Google to run a large-scale network. Instead, it's teaming up with wireless carriers as it does with hardware makers for Nexus devices. So Google will launch a wireless service of its own, but it may be a limited project. Apparently, the senior vice president of products for Google confirmed that the world's largest search company was in talks with wireless carriers and suggested an answer would arrive, quote, in the coming months. He was addressing the speculation that Google would partner with carriers to offer a hybrid service that would rely on cellular and Wi-Fi networks. A spokesman later clarified that an announcement would come in the next few months, not that a service would be launching. Pichai was quick to note that he would approach any services the same way he approaches the Nexus program. He doesn't see the Nexus as a competitor to his vendor partners. Rather, it's a way for Google to drive innovation across the hardware and software through a limited rollout. He views wireless the same way, which, by the way, is the exact same thing they do with Google Fiber. It's a limited rollout, but it's pushing innovation. That's what Google does. That's what Google wants. So, they have a couple quotes here. This was, again, announced at the Mobile World Congress, and which is a trade show. And any Google wireless service, however, could potentially shake up the U.S. wireless industry for the very same reason that Google Fiber shakes up the ISP industry. Either way, keep an eye out for it, but Google could be not only your smartphone maker, your search engine of choice, your computer manufacturer, but now also your internet provider and your wireless, your wireless data provider.
Yeah, that's a
lot. They're having their hands in a lot of pots.
Yes, they are. Yeah, but I think they can. I think they can handle it. They do most everything,
Well, it's not just like one guy back there just pulling his hair out. It's like, oh my God, I'm doing too many things at once. No, they have thousands of employees.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We couldn't get to the story where the Apple Pay system is coming under fire. There are some problems with it as far as security, but maybe we'll get to that tomorrow night. Again, I want to thank our guests from the first hour from SquareSpace, Jeremy, who did a really great job, and thank him for that again. And again, congratulations to our 3 winners: Kyle Thrower in Las Vegas, third place winner; Jonathan Morley, the second place winner; and Marilyn Holt, our grand prize winner. All receiving Logitech products, and I'm sure they'll be very, very happy. We'll be notifying them. You'll be getting notifications in the next couple of days as to when and where you should expect your prize. Okay. So that about wraps it up. Tomorrow night, it's going to be a little different. Our booking goddess has got us somebody. He's Professor Adam Chimpala. Okay, he is a professor. He is the assistant professor of computer science at MIT, and he's going to be with us here tomorrow night. specifically talking about the UR/web programming language, the web programming language. What would a
90 seconds.
What would a programmer use it for? What are the advantages for using web over other languages for web development, as opposed to, I guess, HTML, that type of thing. He's one of a number of celebrated educators that we're inviting on the show to talk about very different technology topics. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Again, Assistant Professor of Computer Science from MIT. He's going to be with us in the first hour. And then in the second hour, it'll be Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Thank you all for being with us here tonight. It was a lot of fun, and I really do look forward to this. I think on Friday we have another PhD candidate PhD talking about technology topics. Something new that we're trying. See how it works out. In the meantime, have a great evening, and Ben and I will see you here tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and we're out again. Thanks everybody for watching, and Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. And hopefully we'll get rid of that hum. Okay. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.